Hello, everyone. I'm George Roska.
And I'm Mark Schneider.
And we want to welcome you to today's episode 95 of Say What, where we talk about the threats to our children in the public school system, including the publicly elected officials on your local school board.
That's right, George. You know, we are now 1 month into the new year, and your new school board members have been in session since their swearing-in ceremonies in December. Parents, let's keep a close eye on what your school board is doing, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, we haven't had a conversation just for school boards, I think, in a long time.
I agree. And there's a lot of them.
And there is a lot of them, Mark. There are over 13,000 school districts in America.
It's amazing, with over 82,000 school board members that represent those districts.
And to bring some context to the power of school board members, we have to bring back this national debacle of the National School Board Association, because this is the most prominent organization that serves school board members. This is how these people get together. They learn from each other. They share their experiences, and they really have a vision of what they want to drive.
They do.
And so this debacle started a little over a year and 3 months ago when the National School Board Association president decided to write a letter to the Department of Justice in which they labeled parents as domestic terrorists.
They did that, by the way, with encouragement from the White House that came out later. There was a little bit of back and forth. So the federal government also had something to do in promoting the National School Board Association to write that letter. But that's what they did. They asked the DOJ to start investigating parents, and this was precipitated by what happened in Loudoun County when parents found out about what was going on in the school system and became upset about it, which went viral, and parents suddenly started showing up in school boards across the country.
And so as a result, because the National School Board Association is made up of affiliates at the state level, there's actually 49 of the 50 states have a school board association at the state level, and they affiliate together in the NSBA. Well, 27 of those 49 member states, as Corey DeAngelis has been tracking, 27 of them have removed themselves from the affiliation with the NSBA.
That's good news, isn't it?
It's all really great news because if you go on the NSBA's website, they are completely woke with equity and diversity and inclusion and justice and social justice and all of that. So when we talk about school boards today, Mark, we want to really just focus on, how can parents get involved in school boards and especially running for school boards?
George, such an important question and issue, and you personally have a lot of experience in this, being very involved in your own city's school board and recruiting, identifying, and helping candidates successfully run for school board there. And we should point out that there's probably no other place where a conservative parent, a common sense parent, can be more effective in turning the tide of corruption in our public schools around than being a member of a local school board.
Most definitely. And even though, Mark, over and over our message at POK is get your kids out now from the public school system, we encourage adults and parents to get in to the school system, to be those teachers, to be the superintendents, to be the principals, and most importantly, to be the school board members. Because school board members dictate policy. They also dictate the hiring of superintendents.
Yep.
They can hire and fire, at will. They dictate curricula that comes down and gets implemented across all of the schools. My school board within the school district has 26,000 students, and we have a 7-member school board. Can you imagine the power of influence that these 7 adults have on the lives of 26,000 children?
It's what you call asymmetrical power. But that is the truth of it, not just in your own backyard, but across the country it works pretty much the same way. And there are some states, George, that are taking the lead, right, on empowering parents and school boards. In fact, Governor Ron DeSantis is leading the charge and helping parents to get elected to school boards.
And, if you go back even 4 years ago, from 4 years ago backwards, nobody was paying attention to school board races.
That's right.
Even the political parties weren't. But the Democrats actually caught on much earlier.
They did.
At least a decade earlier, because in conjunction with the teachers union, who supports, we mentioned in our last episode, 93 and 94, $100 million, Mark, I think was the number.
That's right.
From the NEA and
just
the
from
AFT.
the NEA alone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all of that money going into politics, a lot of that goes to school board races.
Correct.
At the local level.
That's right.
And so here we are, finally, conservative leaders around the country giving the clarion call saying we must take back our school boards. So Governor Ron DeSantis, in fact, he endorsed 30 school board candidates.
Amazing.
In the state of Florida, and 24 of them actually won.
It's an 80% win rate, George.
That's huge.
It shows you what leadership can accomplish.
And so that happened obviously in November, but then in December, he took it a step further, saying, we got to get prepared for 2024. Let's not just rest on the laurels of our victory, right? So on December 19th of 2022, he hosted a Freedom Blueprint in Orlando, Florida for current school board members and potential candidates, where over 200 attended the training with a focus on flipping more school boards in 2024.
Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Now, just like I believe California and especially Orange County, where you and I are, Mark, we've been kind of ground zero for a lot of parent group and organizations that have started here and have worked here and have expanded their influence nationally. Well, in Florida, there is a group called Moms for Liberty.
I love this organization. In fact, their founder, Tiffany Justice, I had the opportunity to meet her at a conference we both attended. George, they have done incredible work in the last few years.
They have, and they're a recent new organization, but they've opened up chapters all across America. And their chapters are focused on school boards and school districts, basically. So if you can open up a chapter to represent your school district and get 3 to 5 like-minded parents start forming this group, they train you and they teach you how to get engaged and involved. So I highly encourage parents to go onto their website. But one of the things that they focus on very passionately is school board races. And they will train and equip parents to know how to run for school boards. And so I took just some information from what they've posted on their 2022 results. They actually had parents run in over 500 school board candidates that they endorsed across the country. They endorsed over 500, and 275 of them won.
It's amazing.
275 new conservative parents. Now, out of all of those school districts that they were in, right, where they spread out across these 275, they flipped 56 school boards.
Incredible.
To give back a parental rights majority. And so this is huge because, Mark, you mentioned right up front, how many school districts are in America? 13,000, right?
Yep.
And there's over 82,000 school board members. And yet we're barely scratching the surface. 82,000 and yet they were only able to get 500, a little over 500 to run. And of that 500, they had 275 who actually won. So that's over a 50% win rate with an organization that's just barely getting started.
Right.
So parents, this is really, really good news. And the other good news about this is that 76% of those over 500 candidates they endorsed were first-time candidates.
Isn't that amazing?
They were parents who had never been civically active, who said, you know what? I've had enough. I want to get involved.
Yeah, we've met some of these people. You personally recruited some of them, and some of them are members of the local church that I attend who won the races that they were running. They had no prior political experience whatsoever. They were just concerned parents of children in the system who saw what was going on and realized, if I don't take action, who will? And they decided to step up. And they won, George.
And they won. And these are normal parents that have probably attended some of our conferences. One of them in particular, I know, attended our conference. And I remember talking to this parent back then.
Yeah.
And the last thing in their mind was to run for school board. And here they are now sitting on the bench and protecting our kids. So parents, please, 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 if you are really interested in starting a group in your local school district, we highly recommend you reach out to Moms for Liberty at momsforliberty.org, and they will help you get organized. And they are linked, in fact, on their website to a very credible training organization called the Leadership Institute.
Yeah, the Leadership Institute, it's based in Washington, D.C. It's been around for many, many decades. It's a absolutely wonderful organization. Our own children were involved in it. They were responsible for Youth for America. And other organizations that are promoting Judeo-Christian values throughout the country. And they have taken the lead in providing training for parents and conservative citizens on how to run and win races for school board.
Exactly. And they've made it so easy for parents, because parents, we are right now in January 2023. School board races are going to start to really heat up 18 months from now.
Yeah.
You need to take this next 18 months to really figure out how to win, how to run a campaign. And the Leadership Institute online has a 100% online for free on-demand training. And it's a 5-module kind of training. The first module teaches you about candidate development, such as the real nature of politics, what makes a good candidate, winning the invisible contests, preparing for the spotlight, opposition research and all of that. Module 2 focuses on your campaign. They help you define your goals, determining a pathway to victory, designing a winning campaign, research throughout the campaign, and then the different phases of the campaign. Module 3 helps you with voter contact and getting out the vote. Defining a vote goal and your voter contact universe. Designing a voter contact plan. You need a strategy. You need a very good communication campaign and strategy, and messaging. Messaging is very important.
Always is.
Module 4, communicating with the media and with donors. Two very different sides, of your campaign and how you have to handle that. But then also they bring in national experts to teach you on how to discuss critical school board issues. And here we get into things like critical race theory, where they have Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican out of Texas, teaching you how to deal with that. And they teach you how to be then the school board leader once you are actually sitting, on the bench. And so they just do such a phenomenal job, and they make it so easily accessible for parents.
Yeah, I would say that Leadership Institute really is the gold standard for training for how to run for school board. It's so easy, as you mentioned, George, to get online and sign up for their course. But I think it's also worthwhile, as you mentioned earlier, to also become part of Moms for Liberty, because you become part of a community where you can help and recruit other parents to also run for school board, and a very valuable thing to do.
And towards the end of this podcast, we'll give you a couple really good pieces of good news and why it's important to run for school board.
Indeed.
So as we take you through these resources to teach you and train you on how to run for school board, please, parents, as you're listening, keep this in mind. The third organization that is out there that really has stepped up to help people run for school board is the Family Policy Foundation. And they have actually, their training is coming up February 21st through 23rd, 2023. You can go to their Family Policy Foundation website. Just Google it. That's the first one that comes up. And they actually break things down into 10 different sessions across 3 different nights. But we'll just share a few of the sessions just so you can get a flavor of what's going on. So session 1 is going to be a worldview training, because you have to understand, where do these ideas come from? What do definitions of words mean? And Mark, you and I constantly touch up on this issue. And in fact, John Stonestreet he's the president of the Colson Center for Christian Worldview. He'll be giving them this very first session on how to understand worldviews and their differences.
Again, the Colson Center, particularly for worldview training, I mean, they have annual conferences that delve into just this subject alone. And George, I think this is critical. Most people, they have a worldview, but they're not really consciously aware of it. But a worldview is the filter. It's the grid through which we process all our experiences in life. And if you're not equipped with a comprehensive understanding of what your worldview should be, what is the truth? And they teach this, I'm assuming, on the biblical worldview. You're not going to be equipped or empowered to be a good advocate for your child's best interest. So I applaud the Family Policy Foundation for making session 1 starting with what is the worldview.
That's the foundation, and then you go into different sessions where they'll bring in veteran school board members to teach you on how to govern. They actually bring in education experts teaching you about critical race theory, sex education, social emotional learning. They're touching up on our triple threat,
they are
Mark.
Indeed. So, wonderful.
They are, it's bullseye. They're hitting it.
Yep.
But then they'll also teach you on what are age-appropriate standards in curricula. We touched on library books, right? And this whole new leftist propaganda on book banning, right?
Yeah.
They'll teach you about curriculum transparency and how to be a much better school board member and provide transparency to all parents in your school district. They'll teach you about parental rights, being led by Matt Sharp, senior counsel at Alliance Defending Freedom. I mean, just the absolute top-notch people at every session. And a lot of them, Mark, you and I already know and have met and have been working with.
Yeah.
So
wonderful people.
If you can't attend the Leadership Institute training, the Family Policy Alliance has their own training, which we would highly recommend. And if you can't attend that because it doesn't work with your schedule, here's another organization, the Family Research Council. And they have a much more reduced kind of training. It's all online. It's a school board boot camp. And again, as we mentioned, if you just reach out to us through our contact page, we will gladly share all of this information with you. And then there is a separate organization called Moms for America. So it's not Moms for Liberty, but Moms for America. And they partner with BEST. It's an acronym, Building Education for Students Together. And if you go to the Moms for America website and you click on school boards on the drop-down menu, it will show you this organization's website and take you to it. And again, it's an online academy that you can register and take at your own pace. They have about 6 or 7 different topics with a similar kind of approach to it. So parents, there are so many resources finally now available in person or online to get you trained over the next 18 months to run for school board. So we have examples of why running for school boards matter. Mark, tell us about it, this very first example.
Yeah, I mean, this is from the Tallahassee.com. This is a story. It's really great. Why do school boards matter? Because these public officials decide on policy and curriculum. Here's an example. Berkeley County, South Carolina, in which 6 new school board members endorsed by the local chapter of Moms for Liberty voted to fire their superintendent just hours after they were sworn in, according to NBC News. At the same meeting, the board voted to ban critical race theory, a college level academic concept that generally isn't taught in grade school, but has become a catch-all term for diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. George, they got rid of it. Here's another example. Sarasota County School Board, with its newly minted conservative majority, had begun the process of firing Superintendent Brennan Asplin, an abrupt move that none of the candidates had campaigned on. Here's another example. Brevard County's new conservative majority took the same step as Sarasota with the help of members backed by Governor Ron DeSantis and the conservative parents group Moms for Liberty. That superintendent, Mark Mullins, agreed to resign to save the district any more turmoil, noting that this mission is bigger than any of us individually, including me. Well, good for you for resigning. And finally, example 4, and this is from the Orange County Register. Board members gave Superintendent Gunn Marie Hansen a 30-day notice of termination and placed her on paid administrative leave. Board members placed Assistant Superintendent Kathleen Corella on paid administrative leave pending an academic audit. So, George, all of these people who were given the hi-ho were bad apples and actively involved in corrupting our nation's school children. And this is the power that school board members have.
Exactly. And this last example is from my home district of Orange Unified, just hot off the presses this month, where, again, the newly elected conservative majority took action. So parents, if you want to have a major influence on your child's education, get involved in your local school board. Run for school board. There are many, many training opportunities online and in person. So we highly encourage you to continue supporting POK by visiting protectourkidsnow.org. Download our brochures, share our videos, download our How to Start a Private School guide, listen and watch to our videos on how to homeschool your children. Click the speaker button, click the donate button. We really appreciate all of our donors who help make this ministry possible.
Look forward to seeing you next time.